This is part 3 of the 700 off-road transmission of reassemble of having to do with the pump and valve body. But first, before we get into that, going back to the end of part 2, having to do with this low reverse piston. Didn't have time on the part 2, and I already got the snap ring out, but I got the pieces still in here. I had already cleaned up the inside of the case and as well as the outside. I just got like a wire wheel on the grinder and just cleaned it up, try to, make it look nice. It ain't perfect, but, it's good enough. But anyway, this is the snap ring that holds the piston in over the, holds all this down. The ring of springs right here for this low reverse. It sits on top of the low reverse piston, and low reverse piston. It's got 2 seal rings, and then right there, and that's the last piece of the barrel. Inside the barrel, this is the actual bottom right down here. What you see down here is the actual bottom of the case itself. You see that notch in the case right up here. Right where I'm pointing, right there. It's on the bottom of this low reverse piston. You have this notch right here that sticks out, and you line it up. It lines up in the case. Right there, it's the only way it would go in. So like, it's the bottom of the transmission right here, so it's the top. So 12 o'clock position, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. From this view, it'll be the 9 o'clock position where you will see the little notch inside the case. So this lines up with the 9 o'clock position inside the case. And like I said, it'll be the only way it goes in. If you got it like this or backwards or whatever, it's gonna lay in there, but it's not gonna be properly set in. So it's the notch right there. You just, just like that. Well, like I said, that's what you see down there is the actual case itself. So, but to point out, before you can remove that piston from out of the case, you got this right here where you engage for park, keep everything from moving. See how it moves. Inside the case, you can see it right there, how it sticks out on the bottom. If you don't remove, it has 2 screws with a bracket. You don't let this loose, this is gonna be in the way. So when it's out the way, it'll be like that. And sometimes these pistons don't want to come out. So got like this first hole right here. You see one with the little bracket, but this one right here, right there, you put like get you some compressed air, and you know, with the compressed air handle, and you shoot some air, and it'll pop up the piston. It'll pop up to where you can grab it, because it'll really be in there. It ain't gonna want to come out most of the time. So it helps to feed it air, and it'll just pop up loose, because you have these ring seals around it also. And so now I got that out the way. Got the transmission pump right here. Got the valve body here. Gonna open up both of these. And prior to this video, I had already opened them up, and you know, took every piece out and just cleaned it all up, you know, for the, you know, prepped it up for the, you know, for this video purpose, just so it's, you know, better for the video. So we're gonna start off with the pump first, then get to the valve body. So I'm gonna move this valve body out the way. Let's see if I can. And got this little plastic ring with these little pegs sticking up. That actually goes on the bottom of the pump. It's got these holes right here. Just close it like that. And then when you're inserting back the pump, you know, it sits between this pump and the reverse input drum, sits right on top of it. So just gonna put that over here. And I had already popped off this front seal, you know, where it meets with the torque converter. It keeps fluid from leaking out. Before that, it's got this retainer clip here that helps keep it secure. Retainer clip. These grab on to the edges here. Just keep it secure. It helps it secure it more from popping out or whatever it tries to do. And pry this off with a screwdriver or, you know, whatever, chisel, small chisel, screwdriver. I had already, like I said, popped it off already. I have the new one right here. With a front seal, goes in front of the pump. And also I'm gonna change these bushings. We got one goes for on the bottom of the pump and one's on the top. You got one right there. And then just underneath it, you got one there on the bottom. Right there. And I got these driver sets to, you know, pop them back in, to install them back in. I don't have a removable kit, or, you know, tool, but you can also, to remove them, you can, you know, use a screwdriver or a small chisel and a hammer to pop it off. You just be careful not to, you know, scratch or gorge the edges of the pump itself. You know, you just hit it at an angle, but we'll be getting to that in a little bit. Now this pump, like I said, I already opened this pump up, and this pump originally comes with a 10 vein. Okay, this is the upgraded 13 vein that I'm going to be replacing inside this pump. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The one that's in there has 10. This is 13 upgraded. Helps with the keeps the pressure from fluctuating or something like that. Makes it better though. Also it comes with 13 of these with the vanes. They set in just like that. And as it spins, it does this. Okay, you got 7 bolts going around this pump, and these bolts actually tread into the case itself. When you put the pump in and getting ready to seal off the barrel, these bolts here is what would seal it all off, the whole barrel. So go ahead and remove these. I just got them sitting there. And now flip this upside down. And got 5 bolts right here that keeps the 2 halves together. When you remove this, it'll separate the 2 halves. And be a 13 millimeter. You're doing it like this, just kind of leave one of them halfway on there. This is 1, that's 2. Just kind of leave one of them halfway on, and then that way it doesn't, just drop when you get the last one out. See, it's already separating now. Separated. See, there it go. And So just pick up the one that's on top and then flip it over. And like I said, I opened these up already. Opened this up and I cleaned it prior to this video, and I even checked the surface right here. This is the surface you want to check right here. Also underneath where these veins are at, we'll get to that in a little bit, but right here on this half here I checked, and I didn't feel no gorges, no scratches, or no bumps or anything. So this is still good. And you can even get like some, you know, fine grit sandpaper and just go over it if you got to, or just to make it even better or whatever. But this is good. So, and also in here, this is where the transmission filter will go in here. I had it like still had the orange seal that, you know, comes off of the transmission filter, but I had already moved it. But this is where it goes right there. Now over here you can see through here, you got a valve in there. That's the converter clutch valve, and whatever other pieces, springs go in with it, and it has a snap ring that seals it all. And over here on this other side here is also have it running this way, pressure regulator valve with the springs, and also with the spring, and has a snap ring that seals it as well. And go ahead and do this first and come back to this. We'll start with the converter clutch valve first. You know, you got some snap rings that are interior snap rings, and some are external, where, you know, where you, like you got a snap ring pliers like this, squeeze, goes narrow, and then if flip it around, does the opposite. See, it goes wider that way when you squeeze it, but needed to do this one, it has to be narrow. Okay. sometimes if your snap ring pliers are limited, some are, you know, get like a screwdriver that, you know, just to help aid with it if you have to, depending on what kind of snap pliers you got. Almost got that. There it is. And snap ring for converter clutch valve, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove this snap ring for this pressure regulator valve. There it is. That over here. And I'm just gonna set them like this, and then I'm gonna lay them out directly where they came from, so you can see each piece. We'll start with this one first. For the pressure regulator valve, pop this cap off. Has a little piece inside where you see the flat side, it faces out of the hole, just like that. This flat piece faces out. It's a flat piece of the cap. Goes in like that. Flat side and inside of this cap. Take your time getting these pieces out if you don't know how they go back, or it just makes it A lot simpler. Here's another piece. You got the little hole right there. Smaller hole faces out of the pump. The bigger hole faces in the pump. You got this little engraved ring that sticks out of this piece. You see that faces towards the inside of the pump. I'm gonna put a little chisel here just to hold these pieces from rolling, trying to roll off away. Another piece with this, and then there's a spring following it. This end faces inside towards the inside of the pump. This end faces out. Spring goes through it like that. And this piece actually goes in this other piece that was prior to this piece, just like that. And then the spring on the edges right there. Actually, I'm gonna do this. That ought to help keep it from rolling. There we go. And there's another piece in here. Last piece for the pressure regulator valve, all the assembly pieces to it. Where you got this bigger round piece on the end with the hole on this side, goes into the faces in towards the pump. This end here faces the out of the pump. So that's with everything out for the pressure regulator valve. And now it's for the converter clutch valve on this side right here. Little cap piece. Usually you could tell, well, it won't matter which way you face it, but you know, you might see a little indentment from the other piece that's about to come out after this. And this end in towards the pump, this end facing out of the pump. And it should just be a spring left. Yep. Actually, 2 springs. One goes in, the smaller one goes inside of the bigger one. Just like that. And that takes care of for the converter clutch valve. Every piece is out. As well as the pressure regulator and converter clutch valves. I already checked, you know, the spring action on both of these valves, and it's, well, from what I see, it's not required to replace anything, but it's always good to make sure to focus on the springs. Make sure, you know, when everything is back in or before, you can check with a screwdriver and check to see if they retract back like they're supposed to. If they stay stuck, then, you know, you're going to want to replace them. But also, there'd be a lot of times there'd be some buildup that's keeping things from moving like they're supposed to. So when you clean it up, it'll free all that up, and then you determine then if you need to replace it or not. It is best to just go ahead and replace them, but how I seen it, it wasn't necessary, you know, for me to do it on this. But I'm wanting to put a 13 vein to replace this 10 vein right here. So It's good to clean it with brake fluid. I mean, not brake fluid, brake cleaner. Okay. Now, if you're thinking about dipping these parts, especially that valve body, and I thought about this before, but then thought about it later and seen that it was not a good idea to use paint thinner or mineral spirits, because it leaves an oily residue on it that won't come off. I mean, you would think they would just be like traces. It'll be a heavy trace, more than a trace, and stuck to the metal. And then when you put it back together, with the fluid, fill it up with fluid, and all that stuff is going to circulate in all over the fluid, all over the transmission, and that's very bad for your fiber clutches. Then you put some new ones in there, and that's contaminating the fluid. Contamination. You're gonna have some chemical floating around, and eating up them fiber clutches and whatever. It's not a good. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but if you think about it, it's there. So, a brake cleaner, you can see with no residue. This is what you want to use. Something like, you can find something else other than this and use it, as long as it doesn't leave some kind of, special oily residue that's just going to stay there and then float around in your fluid. It's the last thing you want. You don't want anything inside the transmission besides transmission fluid. Just spray inside the chambers where the valves come out real good. That way when you put them back, there ain't nothing. It's gonna keep them valves sticking in any kind of way. Clean the surface too. As well as the parts. I already cleaned the parts before. And I'm gonna go ahead and put these valves back in, just so it just lets things in the way. That way it's done. Because I'm going to get into these bushings here after this. So start with this one here. Let's get this out the way. Drop both these springs back in. Drop that in. And then before you try to cap anything off, make sure that they're actually in all the way and nothing is stuck somewhere, and then just make sure you push it down and put this cap back on here and the snap ring. There it is. Make sure it's in all the way. Like that. And then all this back in. Check on the other side, make sure, and that's all the way in. Drop the spring in, and then drop these in together. Push together where this end meets. Like a PVC valve almost, have it like that. And it's best to keep it level instead of having it tilted up. That way nothing pops out of place, and then you gotta pull everything back out, all that. And this with the other piece that's still in there, this goes right back in there, and then you'll know if everything is lined up, and it is. And get the snap ring sometimes you want to get stuck, and it's, you just gotta just like that. It does that sometimes. Don't mean it's not aligned, but if it ain't aligning right, it's not gonna go in like it's supposed to, where you can fit the snap ring. And push that down while you get the snap ring. Make it easier. There it is. Oh, wait a minute. Not yet. Yeah, there it is. Should have a end play like that. Same thing over here. And like I was saying before, on the part that, the inside between the two halves, the end of the valve right here, you can check like that. As well as this side. Just to check to see how, if it springs back, make sure it's all good. And both of those valves are back in. And almost forgot, there's on the other side, got this filter here. Check to see if it's dirty or ripped on the screen. If it is, replace it. If not, it's your choice if you want to put it back in if you think it's okay, or replace it. I got another one in here. If there's anything in there, if you still want to use this, just clean it out. Or, like I said, put another one in. And that just pops in and pops out and pops right in. Just like that. Try not to spray the brake cleaner on that filter piece, because it is plastic. as well as any other, like ring seals or O-ring seals. You want to avoid getting this on any of that's rubber or plastic like that. More likely the O-rings and the ring seals, that's like a O-ring, big O-rings. The valves are back in. Oh, we got these bushings. Got one on the top and one on the bottom. Like I was saying, they got an actual tool that helps remove this, but you can also just, hit it out the other side with the screwdriver, flathead. It's the best way to go with it. Actually, might just bust this big screwdriver out. Like I say, you want to be careful with the pump itself. You just want to target at an angle to break through the bushing. If you're going to do it this way, like I said, they have a removal tool that actually removes the pump like you would, kind of like a pulley remover tool in a way. I figure I'll show these two on this video during the actual bushings. I have other bushings I'm gonna replace, but I'm not gonna show it on the next videos. I might have them all done. I just want to at least show this one. Just it will show for the others. Just to save little time on video time. Just take your time removing and putting back these bushings. can just focus this on one spot. You won't have to go all the way. Once you get a little dent started where you can actually just focus in, the rest will go through. It might just even just split through all the way, or once you got it like that, and then it's pretty much downhill after that. Once you got that started. See, this end is pumping up. And it's almost free. I'm prying it off of the other end, and there it is. Old bushing removed. Set that to the side. And before you put these back in, clean them out with brake fluid. Not brake fluid, brake cleaner. Transmission fluid wouldn't hurt though, but clean it first. You can put like dab it with the little transmission fluid to help. Actually, that's best to do that after you clean it. Get a little transmission fluid, and that way when you installing them back in, it's a lot, lot simpler. I'm gonna get this other one out first. Let's see, how did I do this? Do the same thing with this one. that one was more difficult. These thinner ones was harder. But like I said, there's a removal tool it's probably gonna be a lot simpler this way. But that's the side and that's both of them removed. And be sure they're clean first. Get some on the bushing itself. Some on this one too. And I think there we go. Got that one installed in. Flip it over, do the other one same way. seated in enough. And this takes care of the other bushing. Brand new bushings on this pump on both sides, front and back. And now go on to this other half right here. Move that up there. And move this piece off first. It's on the back sides of these veins. Just like that. And then I pull this whole piece right here. Some of the veins might come out with it, some might not. See, this is the 10 vein. 1, 2, 10. Replacing it with the 13 vein. So put these over here. Also, underneath this piece has this. On the bottom side of it, you'll see this little, has these notches here, fit in these groove notches here. You gotta make sure they line up correctly. Just like that. Two little notches there. Just like that. That's for the bottom of it. And pull the rest of these out. And that's another just set that one that was came off the top. That's another one like it for the bottom. It just sits right there underneath all of that. And What's next is the spring right here. Actually, it's got two springs in there. The smaller one inside the bigger one. And just pry that off. It's best to have something to kind of hold it, keep it from popping up and flying away somewhere or flying at you or whatever. It's like that. And smaller spring inside of the bigger spring. And now, you see right here, next to this, you have a little orange rectangle there, and underneath that, it's like a piece of rubber string. Like a little piece of O-ring, but it's not an O. It's, the shape of a line. And you just pull that out. And see how it's, pull this one off. There goes the other one that fell underneath it. And this goes back in first, then this right on top of it. It's like that. And for this, got these that fell out. You see this groove here on the bottom of this? The O-ring goes first. O-ring goes first. Just like that. And then this metal piece, this metal ring goes on top of the rubber O-ring. Just like that. And got this little peg here that comes out, and there's also a little spring in here. That sits in there first, and then the peg goes right on top of it when it's installing it back in. It's like that. And that's it. And like I was saying on the other half earlier, check the surface for any engravements, gorgeous, or anything sticking out, lumps or whatever. This side is good also on this, for this one. And go ahead and clean this up. this also has a bushing as well, right there, that I almost forgot about. Those small ones, of course. It's not gonna be that one. 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 Might be this one, maybe. That one. Okay, it's not that one either. And could be this one. That one looks kind of a little too, not enough wall to it. This one, I don't think it's this one. this one. I'll take one of these. That one. This one should, since it's got a, this one won't be easy because the other side is open. Even if you wasn't using this with the screwdriver or whatever, it'd be a lot easier, but this is just gonna pop right out and you can just use the actual installer to pop it out when it's got the other end is not open versus this one that's blocked in, you know, whatever, where it has to come out the other way where it can't be pushed down, you know. But this one could be pushed out. So try that at an angle. Actually, you know what? I'm trying to remember what it is. Actually, I think that's. Well, that one's not going to work. Sure. I don't even think this one's going to work either because the size is, because I see a lip right there, so feels the sizes of these, one slips through and then the other is hitting the actual lip of this other half of the pump, so angle it away. Any other bushings after this won't be done on camera, on video. I have them all done. For the next videos. I'm gonna do this down here. this side starting to peep out. So almost. More taps. And there it is. It's looking like this one here. It's this one. Okay, we'll go ahead and clean this up here before we install new bushings. Side. Come back here. Let's turn it that way. Okay. And that one is installed. So that's 3 bushings installed for the pump. 1 on this half and 2 for the other half. Total of 3 bushings. And now, go ahead and put this dual one like this in. I'll go ahead and put that to the side there. It's like I was saying with the other piece, I'm using this new piece. Same thing. But these O-rings. You want to have some kind of fluid on them. That way they keep them from tearing up or whatever, or that. Set one of these rings, there's two of them exactly the same. Set that right there. Or you can wait. Gotta get this one in with this rubber piece right here. Put it right there, and then this orange long rectangle piece, put it right on top of that, just like that. And this bottom end where we put the O-ring and the metal ring faces down. Line this up right here with this. See where that peg goes. Line those up, and then just like that, and just hold the orange piece, that rubber piece underneath it, and just drop it in like that. And then after you got that, you go ahead and get this peg with the spring. Small end goes where the spring goes, where the small end of this right there. Drop the spring, make sure it's down all the way, then drop the peg. Just like that. See, now this moves back and forth for high pressure and low pressure. And actually, I'm gonna remove this one, this little ring that went for bottom, because this comes with two new ones for the top and the bottom right here. So Actually, it had a new orange piece with the rubber piece also that I overlooked for some reason. Go ahead and swap that real quick. Take these over there. There we go. This right here. Line those up. The lip part, it sticks out, faces down, faces out away from this piece, and just like that. That's the bottom. This is the bottom. That's the top. And put one of the rings, set it down there for the bottom. And then before I go further with this, you gotta put the spring back in. And that didn't come with the new spring, but this spring was okay. It was good. If you want to replace the spring, you can. You gotta get one. And channel locks would help with this. Put the spring back in. And just make it jump in there. Try to if it don't go in right, pull it back out and get it back on these. And yeah, watch out, these things will jump. Where my big screwdriver? There we go. Got it in there. And kind of just space it out. Make sure it's all the way down, and then take both edges and sides. Make sure it's even. Spring. And just like that. And then this piece, this metal ring is already down. So now this, with this piece underneath facing down, set it in here. Like that, and grab all 13 of these veins. And on one side might stick out and one might be too close. Just where you see the big open gap there, just be easiest spot to drop these veins in, and make sure that they're catching on, that they go past that ring on the bottom that's not sitting on top of it, that it just, the back is against it. And just keep dropping them in, turn it, keep dropping them in till you got them all in there. Just keep going, and then like that. It went from 10 vein, upgraded to a 13 vein. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And grab this other ring and set it and right where it meets up with the other ends of the veins, just like that. And I'm gonna pour some transmission fluid on it. For the pre-assembly of it. That'll be good enough. Get some on the spring too. Go ahead and set that right there, and so this side is clean on this other half. Now we're ready to put the two halves together. So this side, flip it upside down to meet up with the other half, and just align. It's only going to align one way, there's no other way, and that's it right there. And there's actually a big aligning tool that goes around both halves to make sure it's aligned, or you can just check the edges all the way around to make sure that they're flush all the way around, and it should be aligned, because you don't want it out of place, because it's got passages in between the two halves, so they got to be aligned correctly. So before you tighten it up. Like I said, it'll be more accurate with the lining brace. It's about this thick. Like looks like a big giant you know, a hose, radiator hose clamp that you tighten up, and then it will get the edges on both halves perfectly aligned. Then once you got them where you want it, then start tightening the bolts, all 5 of them. I think the torque, you torque these down to like 8 foot-pounds. With a torque wrench. One of these. Or if you got a digital torque wrench or whatever, just get it to 8 foot-pounds, torque it 8 foot-pounds, and the next thing is this front seal. And I don't know what happened to my smaller hammer, but I'm gonna just kind of go around, like and circle all the way around, tap it down slowly. There it is. And then put the retainer clip back on, just like this. Just like that. And that's it. And also you have a seal ring around here. See that green stripe? It's good to replace those also. Those come out easily. You just pick it out and put a new one on there. And trying to get this valve body also in this video, so I'm trying to, not take too long showing this, as it has kind of been already. But this takes care of the pump, and I'm gonna set this pump over here. I'm gonna bring this valve body over here. Set these old pieces to the side here. Drop these bolts back in here. Trade place that. Actually, put it up here. Valve body. And I'm gonna start with the end with the little solenoid right there. See, you got these little pegs. Flip it upside down. And see, you can get right underneath it and it'll pop up. And that's what will free each of these valves. It's got valves on this side and valves on the other side. I'm not going to get into the detail about the names for each valve. But we'll start first by removing this solenoid here. You can get a crescent wrench or whatever works. When I take each of these valves off, I'm taking them out one next to another. I'm not skipping any, I'm just taking them out. Besides this solenoid, I'm gonna lay the bottom facing up and start with this one here. Lay that there. You know, just like the valves on the pump, it's basically the same thing. You just keep them in order. But this have more valves. The pump only has 2. This has more than 2. And best thing to have to do is screwdriver and, you know, a little tiny Allen wrench to poke through on one side so it can pop out the little pins. It'll be very helpful and quick. See, that just pops out. That just popped out. I'm just gonna pop them all out in a row. Not all the way, but you know. Okay, got that popped out. Come to one that's can't get behind it, get some needle nose, and so it's best to do one side at a time. When you're done with this side, go on the other side, get the other ones out. I'm gonna pull these up, do one at a time. Starting with this side because I already pulled this out from here. There. And this out. Watch out, these things try to shoot out. Keep from getting mixed up and which way they way they was, whatever. That way you don't get them mixed up that way. And on this back side, you have control of moving the valves with a screwdriver or something. You gotta like tip it over a little bit sometimes, but when you're doing each valve, you just do one at a time. You don't have all of them pins loose, and you know, then you start mixing valves up, and you don't want that to happen. So you gotta reach one in here with the needle nose. However way is best for you to get these out. Just put them, each piece that comes out, put one in front of the other and keep them separate. Have it like on a cloth or something, so it don't roll off the table or nothing, and roll off to the other one, and be like, oh, where does, you know, just helps keep from mixing things up, confusing things. It don't have to be confusing. And on to the next valve. That took care of. That's everything in that valve. Pull this giant pin off here, and you know, it's basically the same with the rest of these. Make sure everything is out of each one before you go on to the next one. Pretty much see on the back side of here. Let's go to the next one. That one just jumped out. Okay. That takes care of that side. Well, except for this one here on the end. I thought that one was so. Some of these won't. You have to, you'll be able to tell if it's sticking out. You just pull the peg up. Get vice grips or something, or needle nose, whichever's easiest. And pull that one out. Before I do that. There's another pin here also. There's two pins for this one. One to hold the front side, one to hold the back of that valve. Put that valve there on the end. I didn't want to do the pump as one video and the valve body as another video separate. I just want to get it all in one, you know. But like I said, anything with bushings, I won't be showing. I basically showed 3, and the idea is, it's already a good idea about all that bushings. So just to avoid any, you know, video time. That's what this side looks like. With all the pieces out. Right here is where that solenoid screws into, right there, right here. And it has a little tiny bitty freeze plug here. I'm not popping those out. And still got this side here. Pop all these out. Not all the way out. Get it started. And notice when these valves be going in and you don't know which way it needs to be turned, if it might be turned the wrong way, you got these little grooves here on the ends where you can see where these little pins would go. It'll be obvious. They all look like this wherever it lines up on the valve body itself. And other half in there. know, and we got 2 left here. I still got a piece in here. Oh, that's about it. That's it. And pop this one out. And there's a spring with that. There it is. And same thing with this one. Put that out. Just watch all these pieces as they come out. You don't want to put any of them backwards. And that's what it should look like on this side when you got everything out. This is the other side that we already did. And you can see you don't see any valves anywhere on here. Every valve is removed. And you know, taking it apart in this motor like this makes this a whole lot simpler just to put it back in without any doubts. You just make sure that they fit in. So I'm gonna go ahead, before I drop these in, I already cleaned this valve body and I already opened it up before, but I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly just spray it, make sure, because it was kind of sticking a little bit, trying to remove it. So just spray inside each chamber. With some brake cleaner. I'm just going to drop all these back in. Reversing what I just was doing when I was taking them out, just reversing that. put every piece in and make sure that everything is positioned the way it's supposed to be. You know, you check all the springs and see how it retracts back and all that. You put the pins in. You put each pin in. Make sure, see right there, that is flush. See, like right here. Right here. Make sure it's flush. Doesn't have to go in all the way. Just make sure it's flush with the surface. Just like that. For each and rest of the other ones. Even the ones that are bigger than the one I just showed. And get in there. Then, you know, when you got the pins back in, you just kind of make sure that they retract, like, you know, on the front end and the front end and, you know, inside in here too. You know, just kind of see, should retract some. See, like that. Check the spring action, retraction, and And that's that half put back in. And then I'm put these back in. That's what it should look like. Still gonna do these. Points out. All right. Try to quickly get the rest of these in. Sometimes you gotta push these springs down so you can fit these pins back in. this one. This way. And that's pretty much it. Put that one on. And put this back on. And get that tightened on there, the solenoid, and that pretty much wraps it up. And pump, valve body, and next video will be part 4 of reassemble inside the barrel of the transmission. Will be the next video will be part 4 for the reassemble inside the barrel of the transmission. So that covers pump and valve body. So go to part 4 for inside the barrel of the transmission reassemble.